Today is still Friday, 14th October 2016. It is 1454 hours Central European time. This is a little addendum of sorts, though not topic-wise really, but insofar as that it also addresses the muricans. There's a couple of things, actually, that I could address specifically in you. I just want to start with a reminder. I do remember that, maybe not as directly as I'm going to say it now, but though not far from it really, to anyone with a brain, in the By the Way World document, I think it was, I already explained on what I'm going to mention now. What you really ought to understand, muricans, is that I am, in all the right ways, in all the good ways, in all the sane ways, as American as it gets in Europe and generally anywhere outside of America. I am as American as it gets. You should have that find its way into your strategical and tactical ponderings, filth of Fex Mundi on North America. Especially you willing executioners, especially all of you. Oh, I'm just a slave, you know, it's not my fault. The world's so unjust. Oh, there's nothing you can do about it. All of you people. I am as American as it gets. Have that sink in. This is topic number 2. At the unemployment course today, we had to watch a movie, namely Thank You for Smoking. And you may or may not know the movie. It was not as nearly as manipulative as I dreaded it would be, though it did actually contain a couple of things that are not topic of what I want to say here. Smoking is generally be demonized coming out of bitch queen in America. Those who had the crazy idea to completely demonize smoking, and with demonize I mean for no good reason at first, eventually, and be it because of me, and that was years ago, not in the hot phase, long prior, I actually explained to them, to those who back then still were in need of it, some figured that independently anyhow, that basically these are what in German I like to call Nüchternheitsstäbchen. What tobacco, what nicotine, actually, let's be precise, what nicotine does in your brain is it de-emotionalizes you, which is a good thing, because you become more rational. That is, your rationality becomes less affected by emotionality. And oh, you can't have your slaves be more rational, can you? No. So, my dear Americans, you will torture for information your Fex Mundi eventually. I hereby claim all those that had something to do specifically with programming worked towards smoking, anti-smoking, who specifically developed the stratagem to have them pay these grotesque amounts of money for that drug, Nüchternheit, sobriety. Also, all the people messing on the medicinal sector with completely fictive and artificially created. Of course, the conditions are real, but it's not a disease. It's artificially created by biomessing, such as COPD, and so on and so forth. All of those people have something to do with anything pertaining to smoking, fake results of smoking, demonizing smoking, and so on. I claim these people, my dear Americans. What we're going to do is, we're going to get them all to Thailand, all of the Fex Mundi responsible for that particular topic, and we're going to chain them in front of our country's tobacco. There's hitting on a word here. Tobacco monopoly. Yes, we're going to have a tobacco monopoly, which is not going to be a monopoly because you're allowed in if you pay the right money. So it's a European concept. Don't bother understanding it. Time approved though, because it used to work previously, and I'm going to reintroduce that. And we're going to use these Fex Mundi inhumans who had the brilliant notion of treating tobacco, which is one of the most magnificent things that mankind ever discovered, against mankind basically, trying to do away with it for good, tainting it with all manners of shit that they add. And I don't mean the additives that you always had in there. I mean additives that you did the fuck not always have in there, and so on and so forth. But generally, all of those people that have something to do with tobacco, demonizing it and utilizing it as a tool for Fex Mundi and so on, they will all come to Vienna, because that will be in Vienna, actually. The seed of the violent tobacco monopoly will be in Vienna. I'm not perfectly sure which building. I might have looked that up later today. I just choose a building. That's what I do these days. And we're going to chain them, always one at a time. We're going to chain them pretty much nude. I mean, not in order to embarrass them. They're allowed to keep their underpants on or something. But we're going to chain them in front of the building and have them utilized as living ashtrays. And all the people, if they want to contribute a little to letting Fex Mundi what they think of them once liberated, they can walk up to the person and just extinguish their cigarette on them. Living ashtrays are very creative and appropriate for Inhumans. Utilization of Inhumans. So hey, Inhumans, look at the price set. If you were involved in a tobacco scheme, you will not even get killed right away in a torturous manner. And because the Americans will have to do some torture in order to find out that you were involved there, and then you're going to get the file on and so on and so forth. And we can't guarantee you the best of keeping you conditions, because we're just going to have one at a time in front of the building. But just so you know. So that was the second topic. And talking about choosing buildings, I just want to briefly, this does not really go specifically to the Americans, the particular ridicule, right down this side. There, Breitenfutterstraße runs down there, and back in the By the Way World document already, I did mention a couple of things actually prior to the By the Way World document. In my letter, in the surrounding conditions, for instance, it already said something about Breitenfutterstraße, but in the original planning from Thailand, a certain lot there on Breitenfutterstraße which was not taken then, was declared to have a particular function for Thailand. They planted a fucking building on it since then. There was a building that was seriously suggested to the CIA to rent. That was rented, and the ridiculous make apartments out of it, even though it is not at all an apartment building. That is to be found in the By the Way document, By the Way World document. There's other ridicule, such as the DC Tower in Vienna, how I explained how we will use it for several things, for the DC comics that we'll have, and so on and so forth. The ridiculous decided to have PricewaterhouseCoopers rent like 14 of these stories in that building, because I was with PricewaterhouseCoopers and I always complained that they don't have enough room there. So then they figured, these were local Fex Mundi who actually did that. They figured, we only have PricewaterhouseCoopers to the skyscraper building. That's how they're being funny. No shit. These are the people you socialize with, Fex Mundi out there, also Fex Mundi America. People who think they're funny. That is a telltale sign of Fex Mundi. People who think they're funny. And people, once more, Roddy Piper, just because people walk on two legs does not make them human. Okay? They are not human, they're inhumans. They're still people. That topic. And as I said before, there's quite a few topics actually that I could address specifically at the American. Oh yeah, one thing. I actually wrote this down, which goes to show that I consider this rather important. Now, as we know, NASA has for the longest time, since forever, basically, I mean since they've been around, done all manners of things, just not what they tell you to. I've explained in the past how all of you fucking rich people, if you think NASA needs to send you gold to space, they don't send you gold to space. I explained to you that in the past. They don't, trust me. This is just for one of the particular delusional IGs. There's a lot of them out there. But it occurred to me the other day that Fex Mundi in America will have most definitely safely stored inhumane technology hardware, and of course documentation to whichever extent, but actual devices, so to speak, and be proxy devices or something, off this planet. On this planet naturally too, of course, but that is duh. But even off this planet, namely, not just in orbit. If it's orbit, then it's an extreme orbit, but most probably on the moon, and maybe they even send shit down these lines of technologies to Mars just to plant it there. okay? Because it's not out of the way. It's like, you know, there it is, Mars, period. You can always go fetch it. Always make sure that should ever Fex Mundi go under here on Earth, and mankind reaches Mars anyhow, then there they discover ancient technologies. In fact, I do want to point out that if I try to think myself into the absolutely insane shoes of some of these Fex Mundi who decide to do that, the technology might be triggerable to the extent that there's stuff that automatically manipulates you upon you finding such a, whatever that be called, such technology elsewhere. Okay, into manipulating you into using it and being interested in it and whatnot. There's very subtle routines that can work on a human mind that at first you don't spot, especially if really it is, if Fex Mundi goes down and then mankind were to be liberated and go, say, to Mars eventually, whatever exactly you'd be doing there, and then come across these technologies, and you'd be coerced into using them again. Okay, you bet your ass that Fex Mundi did that. You bet your ass. That is a given, 100% likeliness, fact, exact. Another thing I want to point out to you, and that is the Muricans who get the shit out there. I also wanted to address that to the Muricans, and that is that for this video. Thank you. So the real important one, though, is the fact that I'm as American as it gets in all the right ways. I'm as much, you gotta be very careful with this word, I bring more understanding of Americans than anyone fucking else on this earth outside America. You ought to figure that. Little piece of advice here.